The blue season is over, so now what do we talk about?
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today, Locked On Blues, it's going to be simple. Season is over. Now what? Now you might be wondering, Haley, well, what exactly do we have to talk about with the season being over now? I have come to terms. The Blues were eliminated. Watching the game last night with the Dallas Stars and the Winnipeg Jets helped me finally be able to move on and accept that what happened, and now we have to look ahead. So we're going to talk about our feelings again one last time, talking about that Jets game. We're going to talk about what we have looking forward to, which is some good news for some of the Blues guys, and of course, what this team needs to do to be better. We have a lot to talk about in today's episode of Locked On Blues, but this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And to help me break everything down, it is the one and only Dylan, 97DWEH, which you can follow on X. We talk a lot of Blues hockey together, one of my favorite people. And right now, obviously, this was not the outcome that either of us wanted. I actually vented to Dylan the moment the Blues lost in that Game 7. And I'm like, I cannot stop crying. I was a mess. But I think it's really important that people understand that despite the fact that we did win the Cup 6 years ago, it is still heartbreaking to lose in the fashion that the Blues lost. So first off, I hope you're doing well. And then secondly, let me hear your thoughts on the way that Game 7 ended.
When I hear that question, the first thing I think of is how Pavel Buchnevich doesn't skate that puck up the ice or make a pass or score. With that being said, I don't know how the Blues fare in a second round series against Dallas. They're kind of on a heater right now. But it would have been really, really nice to beat Winnipeg after all the bullying that they attempted to do in the series and get some confidence for some young players, which I think they did accomplish that anyway. But yeah, I mean, it was really nice to see them play that hard. And I really think they found a true identity, and they were clearly missing a few players. And I mean, they don't have a whole lot to replace. Another scorer that can really drive offense could really help them a lot, I think, and could have helped them a lot in that series.
Yeah, I mean, without a Dylan Holloway, and obviously we just found out now that he did have surgery, to me, that was a big missing piece. But again, I look at guys on the team that I feel like should be stepping up, like a Jake Neighbors, who was kind of invisible to me during that series. I thought Bolduc was fine, but the guy that actually made the most noise, at least for me on offense, was a combination of Sonny and Nathan Walker. I thought they both played their hearts out. But again, Bushi, I can't continue to come up with excuses for things that he doesn't do on the ice. And again, missing that empty netter was probably one of the worst things I could have seen in that game. Like, despite the fact that the Jets were scoring, that to me was the one thing that the Blues could have done to secure a win.
Yeah, I mean, we watched it all year, really, with the end of the game. It
17
always kind
times.
of felt like, yeah, it always kind of felt like it was going to come back to bite them. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what happened, and it caused us all a lot of heartbreak. The good news about it is we got to enjoy Game 7. You know, we really did. We all thought we were going to win the game. I feel like. I think if they have a couple more scorers in the lineup, like Holloway and then another player, I think that's like a 5-0 game in the second period. I really do. Winnipeg's effort was early, and we kind of just let them hang around. I know that might not make it feel better, make anyone feel better, but 2019 Blues bury that team in the first period. I think I really do believe so.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's the thing that makes me the most frustrated is that I look back at that 2019 team and just the talent was so much better. And this team, despite the talent not being in the same level, they still have 5 players that were on that 2019 team. And I can't help but feel frustration for Jordan Binnington. I mean, he really did a phenomenal job in net. Like, all the goals were off of deflections. And again, I feel for him. Um, I really do. I can't even like express the annoyance that I get when I'm seeing comments of people saying, "Oh, typical Binner choking." This was not on him at all. I know it's a team sport, but it was not on Jordan Binnington.
I feel like he's really one of the most underrated players in the NHL. Was probably the best goalie in the first round of the playoffs of any team that we saw. Considering we have a couple guys on defense that probably deserve to be out of the league and didn't really
Like
have a lot
who?
of offense. And yeah, Winnipeg had like by far the best power play in the league in regular season, and now after one series they are the worst power play in the playoffs. And as we all know, the most important part of a penalty kill is the goaltender. So yeah, Bennington was unbelievable. Like, if you would have told me in 2019, and I was telling my dad this the other day, if you
Yeah.
would have told me in 2019 that he was still playing this caliber in 2025, I would have been shocked. And I think they owe it to him. And I've been telling everyone I talk to that Army's going to do this. They owe it to him to build a monster this offseason for Army's last year and go out there and make some noise. Like, Western Conference Finals should be the floor next year. And I legitimately mean that.
Yeah, no, I agree. So one thing I wanted to touch on, you said that there are some guys on this team on defense that shouldn't be here with this team. I'm sure we're thinking of the same people, but I am curious on who comes to your mind when you think of defensemen that should no longer be here, because I have a few.
Yeah. The first guy that comes to my mind is Falk. Everyone, it's kind of hard to pile on the guy. I've told you this before. I like Falk a lot as a
Yeah.
person. Um, I think he cares a lot about his teammates, but for what he's making and what he really does offensively, his lackluster defense is really annoying at times. I think they could easily. I mean, I'd rather see Kessel play, honestly, over that and spend the money somewhere else. And then, Letty, as much as I really, you've heard me say a lot about Nick Letty, but he just doesn't do enough. He's not physical. He's always, and this has been 3 years now of him just standing in front of the net, giving up goals, not being physical. Is he a good skater? Yes, but that is quite literally all he does. And you have to be more active in that, especially in the Western Conference with all these loaded teams that the Blues will have to walk through to get anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's what came to my mind too. And the one thing that was really noticeable about Winnipeg when they were playing with 5 defensemen later on in that game 7 was the fact that all of their defensemen had some sort of momentum offensively. And that is something that we don't see out of guys like a Justin Folker or Nicoletti. And while I appreciate what they've done with this team, and I appreciate the veteran leadership or, all the locker room stuff, that doesn't help you win games. And I know Colton Parayko, I mean, listen, I felt like he was playing injured. He wasn't fully back to himself again. And he's still a great player. So when people say, "Oh, get rid of Parayko," I'm like, what do you mean? Um, but when you have your best defenseman being Ryan Suter, Cam Fowler, and Colton Parayko, there's an issue. And the Blues need to so desperately address the defense. It's not going to come from the draft. It is going to literally
No.
come from making a trade. So then I'm going to do my ad read. And then after that, we're going to talk about who on the Blues do you see going this offseason? Because I think it's time that you just blow up this defense. But before we get into that, because I always like picking Dylan's brain, we have a lot of good Blues talk. Again, follow him on Twitter at 97DWEH. My friends over at Indeed, you just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy, just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page. and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in that spot where I need to hire somebody like yesterday, and the pressure is on. And every day without the right person is a setback. And that's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now, you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/locked on right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. And this is actually very fitting talking about Indeed as we're talking about potentially bringing in new people to do the jobs that the current defenseman can't. So, Dylan, question is on, same question I asked prior to the read. Who do you see the Blues potentially getting rid of?
Yeah. I don't know how you come back into this season with Justin Falk. For Armstrong, the reporters didn't really ask anything about Justin Falk in the meeting that he had the other day in the press conference, and Armstrong didn't bring it up. That's typically a telltale sign that Armstrong is upset with a player and ready to move on. He's never really been the type of GM that's going to bash somebody. I just think his price tag for what he is offensively, he's never been the player we brought him here to be. Let's just be fair. He's not. Like we let Joel Edmondson go, and that was fine. Edmondson, I would take Edmondson right now, full disclosure. But there's there's options though. Like Noah Dobson, his name is everywhere. A young right-hand shot I would love to see. Letty, I just don't understand how that guy's on the team next year either. You replace that guy with a league average defenseman, and you're sitting pretty. You're sitting really good back there with Broberg and Parayko. Broberg +9 in that series, by the way, unbelievable. One 5-on-5 goal against in the whole series, unbelievable. That dude was, and no one has talked about that either. No one has noticed because he didn't score, but yeah, I'm so excited for that guy. 8x8 yesterday for Broberg.
No, he played phenomenal. And I think about a left-handed defenseman that's currently on the Blue Jackets right now, Ivan Provorov. And the reason why that name kind of came up to me was NHL comes out with this list of rumors of players potentially being traded, and I saw his name. And I think that for his price, I believe it's only a couple million that he's in the contract right now with Columbus. He's better than Letty. He's better than Folk, and he still has that veteran experience. And again, Columbus, they did make a push. So I feel like, again, when you have a team like the Blue Jackets that did actually, even though they didn't get into the playoffs, they still have been an increasingly better team. Maybe he would be a good fit. I mean, he's Russian. So again, how much do we want to help out Bushi? But you get what I'm saying? The whole point is that I'm trying to think of defensemen, because for the younger defensemen, they're going to cost more money. And the question is, how much money, how much value can you really get out of, and I hate to be like this, but how much value can you get out of Justin Folk or Nick Letty?
No, I mean, I think Letty is if someone takes him, great. Falk is more of a I don't even know. There's an article. I know JR posted something the other day about the buyout and how it's unlikely. Armstrong has been known to attach players to trades to make them more enticing.
Yeah.
One player I want to bring up, and I've been talking about him for a few weeks now, and he was actually hurt. Otherwise, he would have been way more relevant right now. Leo Loof. He was drafted a few years ago. He's a left-hand shot. He's a skinnier player, but he's 23, a Swede. Looks a lot like Broberg. 6'1", 176. Has been really good in Springfield. Unfortunately, suffered an injury last year. I don't remember exactly what it is towards the end of the year. But this is the guy I have my eye on coming out of camp to absolutely jump into the top 4, play serious minutes. And,
wow.
They may not need a trade for a defenseman. That's why I keep saying, bring it. And then Lindstein is right behind him. He's going to be in Springfield starting next year. He's going to be a player, legitimately a good defenseman that can score. The defense just it's a little. They're just not quite there yet. But yeah, you're right. We got to figure some way to get rid of Falk. I mean, It just has to happen. I mean, Montgomery kept trusting him too, and I know Montgomery trusts veterans, but I was really annoyed with him throwing Falk out there in the 6-on-5s. Like,
Yeah.
what are
No,
we doing?
horrible. And that's why I even suggested like bringing in another player that's a veteran on a different team, because the reality is, while Suter wants to play again and he's saying all the right things, he is 40. So again, a lot can change within this off season. And then let's go say theoretically, you don't have, and I'm just throwing this out there, you don't have a Suter, you don't have a Folk and Letty because they finally traded or got rid of whatever. And then you're really only left with Fowler and Parayko mainly as your veterans on defense. I'm not counting Philip Roberg just because I consider him to still be a younger guy. Would it be worth bringing in a guy over the age of 25, or would you just go with the younger guys and just hope that they build and grow?
If they can find a league average defense for the right price over the age of 30, I'm totally fine with it. I am interested to see what
essentially anybody.
Yeah, anyone literally
Yeah.
like someone who will play the body in front of the net. Like I don't
Hey, how
care
about
that
you,
he's a good
Dylan?
skater.
Want to take one for the team?
Yeah, no, I would. I would
Yeah.
if I was wearing the crest. I'd be out there throwing the body around. But yeah, I mean, it's just they got to find a way to do something with the defense. Like we had 6,000 games played on the defense last year or something like that, and obviously the defense wasn't. Fowler, I'm interested to see what his contract looks like. Do you do a 4-year deal with Fowler and get the money down and hope that he can play 3 good years? Does Armstrong like Fowler? Yeah, I mean he's old.
He is hockey old, not life old. I always have to like remind myself that people might be watching and oh my gosh, you think like 31's old? No, it's hockey old. I would go with a 2-year, I think would be safer for somebody like him. Because Nick,
to be honest with you, I think that he would sign anything Armstrong offers him. I mean, how could he not after he clearly wants to be a Blue. Now, whether or not a different team comes out and offers him a 4-year, 6.5 million, because I can promise you right now, Armstrong is not paying him that. There's no way, not with the defenseman that they have coming up. I mean, as much as it would really suck if someone did that, and I don't really foresee that happening. Yeah, I definitely think 2-3 years would be the sweet spot. Maybe an out after 2 years. That's more of an NFL thing, but it's been done before in the NHL. Keep the AAV down as much as you can, and just I'm honestly as much as I'm talking about the defense, my main priority right now is a forward, specifically a center that can drive offense more and score and shoot and kind of do a little bit of everything, be physical. I don't know if that's Marner. I don't know if that's Sam Bennett. I don't know if it's a hockey trade. My friends and I are talking about Matt Barzal. The Devils are wanting to blow up their team a little bit. I mean,
that would be interesting.
I can promise you.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Matt Barzal. That one would be.
What would you suggest then in terms of a trade proposal to get somebody like him? Who would you be willing to give up?
This year's first round pick.
We don't 19. It's like
it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was even thinking on the pod. Yeah, because it's like after 8, the players like they're gonna be like at least 3 years away from develop. Like it's not even worth it, in my opinion.
It makes no sense to select this pick. Yeah, they will package this pick. I almost guarantee you there's no way they pick here. No chance.
No, I don't think they're gonna pick in the first round at all. That's my hot take.
I honestly love it. I don't think it's very hot. It might be hot right now, but like when we get closer to July, I wouldn't be surprised if it's traded like soon. Like I don't even can they even trade right now? But
no. But like when you get like close to the draft, who did they get Texier like during draft day right before the first day? Was that when they got Texier from Columbus? I want to say,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I believe
So
so.
maybe like the day of something. Like I'm sure that if you put it into like a package, I hate talking about this because I still can't believe that this team got eliminated. But I actually want to talk more about this with you about potential packages with the draft pick. But first, I'm gonna do one more read, and then we're gonna kind of get into that because this stuff is fun. I need to eventually move on from all this pain. Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder where did all my money go? Oh, betting on the Blues. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch Money, I realized just how much I was spending on Blues merchandise. Now I be a little bit smarter. Not really. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. So I'm so focused, seriously, like on the draft, on off season, because every 5 seconds I get flashbacks of 1.6 seconds in my head. And I'm like, I know we talked about this on like Messenger or on Twitter, but like, I really like was not able to process what I saw. And I think when we're talking about potentially getting rid of players, for whatever reason, because of how delusional I am, I keep on thinking that we have another game to play. Like it hasn't fully hit me yet that we're not going to see Blues hockey back in action until October for the regular season. So I have yet to talk on some offensive players because this is where it hurts, and I think this is where you're gonna have to say goodbye to some guys that you do like. And one of the players that's coming up on his last year, who I love, um, who I would hate to see let go, but I think a team would actually benefit a lot from him, would be Nathan Walker. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but again, he would be solid on a lot of different teams as fourth line, like he has been with the Blues. Older, coming up on the last year, and I think that if you package it correctly, you could actually get something back in return.
Yeah, and we've seen Armstrong do stuff like that before with players like him. If they can get any value in return for a player like Walker that doesn't have a lot of skill, which Nathan Walker is great. We all love him. He
But
did
not
it. He
skilled.
did it with Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did it with Reeves to get Sonny, which Sonny obviously has been great. He was great this year.
Yep.
Foxa, do you resign him? He had a really, really good year. Like as far if you can
I
get
would.
him as your fourth line center, I mean that's a really good fourth line center there. Um, the biggest problem I think is Braden Shen can't play on the second line anymore. We talked
No.
about this all year long.
I
It's a
can't believe
problem.
that they actually went with that. Remember at the beginning of the season when I believe it was Army, he said that Shen would take on a different role, like playing a winger position, and that he'd be on like the third or the fourth line. And then like after what,
Yeah,
like 2 games, they put him back as 2C. I don't get
yeah.
it.
I mean,
They need a
he
center.
that is a huge hole. They need, and I don't know if Dvorsky can get there right away for what
Yeah.
Armstrong wants to do this year. Um, that's why I think it's so interesting the thought of taking that 19 overall, packaging it with a younger player, maybe one of the goalies. Who knows? Maybe you make a hockey trade with someone and get an 80-point guy that can win you some faceoffs, and maybe not
When
80
you say
point, but
one of
maybe a
our
70-point
goalies,
guy.
I mean like in Springfield right now, not like Joel
Yeah, I mean
Hofer.
they got Colton Ellis down there who had a
Yeah.
damn good season,
He had a
and
great season.
honestly they have the Zarienko guy who it's not going to hurt Springfield if they lose a goalie. Zarienko wasn't very good this year, but it's not
But
going to kill them.
with Zarenka, a lot of people
He's,
had expectation that one day he could potentially back up Hofer when Hofer eventually takes over. But
yeah, I
again,
mean
I
there's
thought Colton Ellis had a better season, so
Oh, he did. Ellis was way better
Yeah.
this year, and that's why I think it sucks that Ottawa has the goalie now with Allmark. But yeah, I mean, I'm we're at that point in the offseason where you're just kind of dreaming about potential trade packages, and you'll never really know until it happens with Doug. You really won't. He's not going to tell anyone. It's never going to
Brady
get out.
St. Louis.
Yeah, that's my dad's pipe dream. Everything I see from
Mine too.
Brady tells me that everyone I see from Brady tells me that he's pretty committed to Ottawa, and that's very unfortunate.
It
To be honest with you,
is.
he is a West Coast player or a Western Conference player through and through, I believe. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Doug's going to make a hockey trade. I'm excited for it to happen.
Any offer sheets this offseason?
I would not be surprised, especially with it being his last year. You know, what does he have to lose? You know, I mean,
He's going to go out with
especially
a
with
bang.
he's going to do something, and it's going to be. I promise you, it won't take long after the season ends for him to start cooking, getting in the kitchen and cooking up.
Speaking of cooking, one of the things that I think that I am not allowing myself to do is put myself in a scenario where maybe it's June, July, and I'm doing an episode and I'm saying the Blues traded blank player. Now, there are some players I think that are untouchable. Robert Thomas, Jimmy Snuggerud, Jordan Binnington. That's it. Those are the
That's
3
your
players
list?
that I have. That's it. I think everybody else, there's a possibility that they would waive their no trade clause or that they would try to get rid of.
I agree with those 3. I'd have to add Broberg to that list, and to be honest with you,
And Holloway.
Depending on what the cost would be or what the return would be, I would really, it would be hard for me to trade Kyrou with what he and Holloway. There's no way you can trade him and Holloway.
I don't know why I miss Broberg and Holloway. I guess for whatever reason, I keep on forgetting that it actually happened. They're with us. But the reason why I'm saying Kyrou is I think he's one of the most underrated players to wear the blue note. I really do. I think he gets a lot of negative backlash for no reason. And the only reason why I'm saying Kyrou could potentially be somebody, this is actually a Kyrou reason, not a Blues reason. I've always had a good interaction. I spoke to Jordan about, playing here in St. Louis, and I know he loves it here. But at the end of the day, do you sometimes feel like maybe he's not getting the opportunity here that he would on other teams? I feel like he would really benefit from playing consistently in the first line. We don't see that happening here. We see him a lot in the second line. And sometimes I just wonder, is he really happy here with how maybe he gets treated by, and I'm not saying just the fans, but just gets treated by being undervalued, in my opinion.
No, it's a good point. It really is. I mean, a lot of people are hard on Jordan Kyrou. I mean, 36 goals, 37 goals, 32 the last 3 years or whatever it is. He's been your most consistent scorer offensively. And then he was flying with Holloway. Like, if they have Holloway in that series is over in 5 games. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And I've told a lot of people that. So, Armstrong spoke pretty highly of Kyrou in the presser. Kyrou tried to play more 200 feet this year, and I'm proud. A lot of people say, "Oh, he disappeared after he got hit by Stanley." Which, by the way, Stanley, that guy, go drive a bus or something, man.
I'm over it.
That guy, wow. But I think he actually showed a good amount of grit, and him and Thomas really contributing to their defense this year and working on it. It's, oh man, I think their Montgomery is rubbing off on those guys in a big way, and I can't wait to see a full offseason with them guys and the competitions in camp. And I just don't see how you trade your leading scorer, like, especially when you just got a player that can skate with him in Holloway, and they lit it up this season, like all year long, pretty much. I
again,
don't understand how you move from Cairo.
yeah, and I don't. And the only reason why I bring that up too is because one thing that I kind of noticed just about maybe this season, and not even just with the Blues, but with other teams, is that when players are not feeling the most confident or the most excited and appreciated, sometimes it just takes a different environment for players to get back to who they are again. And for Cairo, maybe it's because I'm just so sympathetic, but I can't help but thinking about not this season, but the season prior when everyone came at him. And sometimes I wonder, did that impact his game? Because when we saw Cairo of his rookie season, I mean, he was like flying around and it was so exciting to watch him. And I just want that Jordan Cairo again, the one that plays with no pressure. I know there's always pressure, but the one that plays fast style, speedy, hard hitting hockey that's unafraid to take shots on goal. And I can't praise him enough. I just think he's really underappreciated.
He is. I think he's one. I think him and Thomas and Bennington are three of the most underrated players in the NHL.
Yep. It's the disrespect is real. But that's a whole other
I know that really pisses you off when people disrespect the Blues players.
It's
it
horrible.
Makes me mad as well.
Because it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I know that, I guess we're a smaller market here in St. Louis, but growing up and always being a Blues fan and not living in the state of Missouri, I have so many friends like in Pennsylvania that are Blues fans. And it's like, we all say it too, like this fandom is more than just the population of St. Louis. Like it's really all over. Like Australia, the only Australian player in the NHL right now is Nathan Walker. So it's like, I mean, there's Blues fans all over the world, and it's like at the end of the day, these New York, Boston media outlets, they need to give it a rest because right now, the St. Louis Blues, I'm telling you, they're going to win the cup in the next 2 to 3 seasons. I really do believe that. This team, it's only getting better, only getting scarier. And what they did against Winnipeg, the Jets fans should be embarrassed. I know that they have advanced. But your goalie got pulled on every single road game. But yet he's going to win the Vezina.
I agree. Yeah, and talking about him winning the Hart, it's like, dude, they might lose that series in 5. Like Ottinger is really good. I could see him straight stealing Hellebuck's like USA like crease. The Jets are literally if they win this series against Dallas, I'll eat a crow, but yeah, I don't know. Listen, we know what this Blues team was. For them to light up Hellebuck like that and pretty much have game 7 won and then fumble it, at Winnipeg.
But you know what's funny though? When the Blues were on their 12-game win streak, right? A lot of people were commenting and they said, oh, well, the Blues are not playing that, good of teams and discrediting what the Blues have done. After I made a video literally saying, okay, well, the Blues took the Winnipeg Jets to a game 7. I got all these comments. Well, the Blues were the hottest team in the NHL. And I'm like, but you said as the team was in the winning streak that it was because they were playing bad teams. And that to me just goes to show that they're trying to make excuses because Winnipeg, no offense, you win the President's Trophy for obviously having the most points in the NHL. But yet, when you're the 1 seed taking on the 8th seed, mind you, an 8th seed that has horrible defense, just saying for how it is, and a lot of problems missing one of our better forwards in Dylan Holloway.
Best again, we don't have injured. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have like a strong
best forward, probably best two-way forward.
Yeah.
Between him and Thomas. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, I agree.
So then they say that, and I'm like, okay, if that makes you feel any bit better. I hate the Stars, you know that. But Dallas in 4. I want to see the Jets get swept. I really do. Because if I see one more replay of that game 7 goal, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, it's everywhere. Like, I get it. 1.6 seconds. Like, yeah, it sucked. But at the same time, Jordan Bennington never had to get pulled. And to me, that's
No, you're right. And I love the passion there on that. Hellebuck comes out there and embarrasses himself.
He did. He was
embarrassing.
because the Blues, I mean, everyone's like, oh, the Blues had nothing to lose, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't be saying that when you're going against an 8th seed team, when you're the first, like, you're the 1 seed. Why are you, like, making it seem like you just beat, like, the Oilers or the Golden Knights? Like, bro, you beat the St. Louis Blues, like, who are still in this process of, getting their act together. Like, they were a bottom 7 team, like, a couple weeks before they went on that win streak. Like, you get what I'm saying?
I know. No,
Winnipeg fans are
it all boils down. They're terrible. It boils down to the fact that people don't understand the Blues traded Tarasenko and O'Reilly in 2022 or something like that. No, 2023 maybe. Anyway, what I'm saying is these players that they got, Stenberg and Lindstein and Snuggerud, these guys are now going to be like players now, like next season. So people don't really understand that, like this, they were really a year early in this series. For them to come out and pretty much, I'll say it, I can get fried for it. I don't care. Pretty much win the series. Should have won the series. I think they should have won the series in 5. They should have won game 1. And then there's tic-tac calls left and right. You're putting Winnipeg on the power play left and right. I feel like the officiating was really one-sided in the series.
It was. It was very biased. I just saying it was.
And you know how I feel about NHL referees. They need to get together for like a month in the offseason and figure it out. Like for them to stop that game at the end the way they did twice, that is unacceptable. I am sorry. There is no way you can stop a game like that late in a game 7 and sit there and pause and take 3 minutes out of time. Meanwhile, Winnipeg's just sitting on that bench drawing up plays.
Yeah, because we saw it. They were zooming their cameras into Winnipeg's bench and they're drawing up plays. And all I'm thinking to myself is, how much more obvious can it be that they wanted the Jets to win? The Blues had the momentum and then they lost it because of the pause. I really do believe that.
They did. And you know what? Then you add them resting up with the fact that the Blues did have that hanging over their head that they've been so bad 6-on-5 all year. And then it just gets even more stressful for the players on the ice. And at the end of the day, Winnipeg was a really good team with the man advantage. And I'll give them their props. They found a way to score a goal. But how do you stop a game like that twice under 3 minutes in a game 7? It's just NHL refs are it's a problem.
Well, Dylan, I appreciate you as always. And this offseason, we're going to definitely chat if there is like a big move made. We're going to have to discuss it. We have such good Blues conversation. And like this season, obviously it didn't turn out the way that, you know what? It turned out the way we wanted it to because we got to the playoffs. The series was fine up until the last couple of seconds of game 7. But you know what? Next season, the Blues are going to be more dominant, more resilient, and they have nailed something that's going to fire them up, which is all you can ask for. So, Dylan,
they're going to be a wagon.
Exactly.
They're going to
be a wagon talk to you soon. And I will talk to all of you tomorrow on an Are We Feeling Blue Friday, and you might be a little bit surprised with my thoughts on that one. But until then, like always, let's go Blues.